people in the Republican base have seen over the last 8 years that people they elected they thought were going to take the fight to Obama and the Democrats and stop it or try to, didn't. And the people in the Republican base who elected Republicans, voted for them on this basis, have finally wised up. There isn't any fight. There isn't any opposition to Obama and the Democrats. Not on the stimulus, not on Obamacare, although they, to be fair, in Obamacare, they didn't even have the numbers. They couldn't have stopped Obamacare legislatively. But since Obamacare passed, they have promised over and over to repeal it, to try to repeal it, to do, and haven't. 2010 midterms, we were told, well, look, we can't do anything if we don't have numbers. You've got to give us the House. That's the only way we're ever going to be able to stop Obama. So people showed up in droves. It was a landslide Republican victory in the 2010 midterms featuring this new thing called the Tea Party. And these people went to the polls in record numbers, and they fully expected that the Republicans were going to fight back or try to stop the advance of the Obama agenda. It didn't happen. 2012 rolls around. The Republicans nominate milquetoast. The establishment gets the nominee they want. Not any pretense of fighting back. Not a whole lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of Republican base stayed home and didn't even show up. Anywhere between 2 and 4 million fewer voters in 2012 on the Republican side than in 2008. In 2014, Republicans said, look, Obama still has the White House. Yeah, you gave us the House, but he's still got the White House. We can't stop him. We need the Senate. 2014, landslide Republican turnout, landslide Republican win. Between 2010 and 2014, the Democrats lost over 1,000 seats in the House, in the Senate, state legislatures, governorships. It was massive. Still, the Republicans who were elected on the promise that they were going to fight back, try to stop, didn't. And that's all she wrote. Republicans had done everything that had been asked of them. Republican voters had been, we need the House? Fine. We gave it to them. We need the Senate? Fine. And even after they got the Senate, we did, well, Obama's still in the White House. There's really nothing we can do, because we don't have a veto-proof majority. So no matter what we did, no matter how many things they asked us to do, and we did, they fell back on the it's still not enough. And there wasn't any serious opposition to the leftist Obama agenda. And so here we are in 2016, and the Republicans had what they thought was the greatest field of potential candidates in a long time. 15 Republican candidates from across the spectrum, led by the popular favorite Jeb Bush. And this was going to be the day. This was going to be the year. This was going to be the moment in time where we're finally going to get it all. We're going to have the House and the Senate and win the White House and get our committee chairmanships and hold on to it and what have you. And the Republican base said, not this time. And they did what? They nominated somebody as far from the political scene as you could get. They nominated somebody that the political class gave no chance. They nominated somebody that had no ties whatsoever to anything that had happened previously. No elective office held, no participation on any policy, no fingerprints, no nothing. And more than that, they elected a brawler. They didn't elect somebody who disagreed simply. They elected a brawler. They elected a fighter. The Republican base changed its approach. It's not just that they chose an outsider. This is why I wanted to expand on my theory here. The Republican base decided to send a brawler, a knockdown, drag-out street fighter, something unseen in the modern era of politics. And again, the reason the Republican base decided this was needed is because we, the Republican base, we know the left, and we knew what our nominee would face. We knew that this was the kind of campaign that whoever our nominee was going to face. And as I said, anybody else would have folded by now. And by fold, I don't mean quit, but would have moderated his tone, would have diminished and fallen back to the point that he would be indistinguishable from any other Republican. And the establishment would be supporting him, and he'd lose in a landslide. That's what I mean. Any other Republican nominee under this barrage would have wilted long ago, probably during the primaries. And the left is used to that. They are used to neutering Republican opponents. They are used to taking them out early. They are used to being able to mock them and destroy them and render them impotent months away from an election. This has not happened because the Republican base said, screw it. After all of these campaigns, with all of these assurances that they were going to fight back and stop, none of it happened. It was time to send a brawler. Now, I'm not describing an actual thought process that happened. I'm talking about Trump gets in, is the person he is, campaigns the way he did, and the Republican base said, yeah, this is what we're talking about, and overwhelmingly got behind him. And they got behind him not because of the usual reasons you get behind a candidate. Character and political experience and a record that you can examine. None of that mattered. All that mattered was somebody was going to happily and cheerfully take the arrows and throw them right back. Somebody was going to take all the shots and fire right back and not put up with any of it in defense of the voters. This is the thing I think that the Republican base hasn't yet figured out, is that all of these attacks on Republican politicians are also attacks on Republican voters, and they go undefended, they go unanswered, and people know that they are not these crazy things. People, they are not reprobates, they're not racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes, and they're tired of not being represented as such. Trump comes along, and it is happy days are here again. The establishment Republican candidates did not have a chance. So this is it. This is now what a political fight looks like. The forces on the left have had to unify because they have never faced anything like this in recent years. They are used to a docile and conforming and embarrassed Washington Generals type of opposition in the Republican Party. But the Republican base knew what any Republican nominee was going to get. If they could tarnish and destroy and demonize Mitt Romney, they could do it to anybody. And so it didn't matter. Whoever was nominated was going to get the treatment that Trump is getting now. The Republican base wanted a fighter. They wanted a fighter, a brawler, and somebody was not going to give up and cave in and become like the Democrats in order to sue for peace. And thus, we have a genuine fight. This is what it looks like. It is in the sewer because that's where the left has taken it. We are in the sewer and the gutter because that's where the Hillary campaign and the media have taken it and are taking it and leaving it there. We are in the gutter, we are in the sewer, we are in the swamp, because that's where the Democrats have taken it. It's not because of who Donald Trump is. We are in the sewer, we are in the gutter, because that's the only way the Democrats know how to win, and they have not faced this in your lifetime or mine. Well, I always have to exempt Reagan. Reagan befuddled them and won 2 landslides. But we have a nominee who, for once, has no problem counterpunching. Wherever they hit him from, he hits back, whether it's in the sewer, So they're out there saying that Trump is this and that, and he's a horrible, rotten guy. And they're saying, okay, well, you guys have got this election rigged. You guys are taking unfair advantage. You're rigged. And they think that Trump's the reprobate. They're the ones that have taken us to the sewer. The Democrats, the media, the establishment have taken this campaign right. Maybe it's so low they look up and see the sewer. But we're there, not because that's who Trump is. We are there because that's where the Democrats have taken the campaign. Because the Democrats can never go high. The Democrats can never elevate. Here the Democrats have a chance because of what they've done. They have a chance to become the party of optimism and good cheer, and they can't do it because it's not who they are. So we're in the gutter. We're in the sewer. We are in the filth and the muck and the yuck because they have taken us there. And we've got a guy who's punching back from the filth, from the muck, from the sewer, whatever. And the Democrat Party and the media have not had to put up with this. They've not had to experience this. They're used to people rolling over for them. They're used to the opposition kowtowing, quitting, resigning, admitting whatever allegations are made. As such, I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen because there's not a blueprint for this. And that's why I think the way the left is behaving, the Democrats and all this outrage over Trump and the Republican headquarters gets blown up and it's Trump's fault. Can you imagine if a Hillary campaign was blown up? Do you think they'd be in the news every day and you think they'd be trying to find some Trump voter that didn't have any teeth to blame it on? You know damn well they would. It'd be the front page story since it happened. But since it's a Trump headquarters that blew up, ho-hum, no care, no concern. In fact, yeah, kind of makes sense. With the stuff Trump's been saying, yeah. As little Brian Stelter at CNN said, Trump's rhetoric. Trump's own words are responsible for his headquarters being firebombed. Sorry, we know that's caca. So they don't know what to do with a brawler like this. They don't know how to factor it. They don't know how to pull it. Hillary doesn't know how to deal with it. She's in hibernation. She chooses not to deal with it. The evidence is abundant that Mrs. Clinton is among the most corrupt. And if you want to talk about unfit and unqualified people to ever seek the office, she is it. And the fact that they cannot capitalize on what they claim Trump is, the fact that they can't get her positives up, they can't get her negatives down, the reason that they are not acting like they are reporting it's over. It's a landslide. Look at these polls. Trump has just alienated everybody. You can't turn on television without hearing that every woman in America hates Donald Trump. But then you watch them on TV and you read what they write and you listen to them talk and they don't reflect the good cheer, the happiness, the contentment that you would think real knowledge that it's over would bring you. They are continuing to hammer and destroy because that's who they are. Number one. And number two, they are not sure how to. Believe me, they can see these people at the Trump rallies, and they can sit there all day and say, well, that's just nothing scientific about that. It's not anecdotal. Of course, look at who these people are. They're just madcap extremists. Of course they're going to show up. Meanwhile, Hillary and Tim Kaine can't draw flies. And that's normal, too, they tell us. But it isn't normal. My long point here is that this is exactly what this was going to be. It was going to be a fight. This is a fight. The Democrats are not used to this kind of opposition and a fight. And the people that poll it don't know how to poll it. And they're not quite sure of what's going on in the country right now. They don't know how many of these people that are eager beaver supporters of Trump they really are. They really don't know. And they're terrified that there's a whole slew of people that haven't voted in 20 years are going to vote for the first time and they can't find them to poll. I have to take a break, folks. Sit tight. We'll be back after this. Look, I want to add to and build on to that monologue, and I'm going to do it here in a minute in bouncing off another soundbite coming, but I've got to get to the phones. People have been waiting for the entire program. Let's start here in in Las Vegas. Janet, hello.
Hello, Rush. It's such an honor and a privilege to speak with you.
Thank you very much. Same here.
Every time I hear you, I think, you get me. You get me. Rush, I am a long-time listener. I'm a long-time Nevada. My family has been here since 1895. I'm a multi-generational Republican. When my husband asked my father for my hand in marriage, my father's only question to him was, are you a Republican? That's how important the Republican Party has been to our family. My dad has an uncanny look to Ronald Reagan, and we always referred to him as Uncle Ronnie. He was part of our family. But I am fed up. I am so disgusted with our party, and I'm often embarrassed to say I'm a Republican because of the way that the treatment they have had towards our nominee. And I have made the determination that it's a litmus test. I go and I find out if the man running is supporting our top man on the ticket. If he is, I vote for him. If he's not going to get my vote this year. I've had enough.
I know you're not alone. There's a whole lot of real frustration over this. This is why Trump cannot talk himself out of being supported. He just can't, because the people supporting him, the days of judging candidates the old way we're supposed to is out the window here. It's too dire. For many people in this country, this is it, and it's got to be stopped, this direction the country is headed. And the fact that somebody is standing up saying he plans to is enough for them. Look, I have to take a break here, folks, but I'm going to build on this when we get back here. You'll like it. Don't go away. Okay, let me grab a soundbite here and bounce off of this as I further expand on the whole notion of what people think is wrong and what the fight is about. And believe me, folks, this fight is exclusively about that the Republican Party has let down its primary supporters. By primary, I mean base. It has let them down. It has promised and not delivered. And the establishment, they're part of it, and they circle the wagons here, and they focus fire on Trump as degenerate, as a reprobate. And they fire all of these usual political weapons. They use every trick in their book, okay? He hates women, war on women. He's a racist. He's a sexist. He's a bigot. Republican base has heard this said about every nominee that we've nominated, and they know it is total BS every time it's thrown around. Mitt Romney was not a sexist or racist. He didn't hate women. He didn't hate animals. He didn't kill women, didn't do anything of the sort. Republicans didn't fight back. Republican base livid. Ditto George Bush. George Bush lied. People died. George Bush is Hitler. They could do books on assassinating George Bush. Republican voters know it's not true. George Bush, a fine man, may have been wrong on immigration, but he was not the reprobate that the Democrats make him out to be. But there was no pushback, no fighting back. Republican voters disappointed and let down again. And so it goes. And so everything they're throwing at Trump, every Republican voter has heard it said about every Republican nominee. They've been alive. There's not one thing new. They got rid of speakers of the House. They got rid of others by claiming women. And meanwhile, they, on the Democrat side, embrace and harbor their abusers and rapists. They lie about others. The female candidate for president on the Democrat side has attacked and bullied and threatened women who came forward, and the Republicans don't say so. Donald Trump does. The Republican base chooses Donald Trump. The Republican base knows that everything the Democrat Party alleges about our nominee is actually true about Democrat nominees. And they're fed up with having their candidate taken out of every race on bogus, malicious lies with no pushback. And that's why there's Donald Trump. And that's why all of these so-called women coming forward with all of these so-called stories of abuse is like battleship being sunk with a BB. You can't do it. It isn't going to happen. Republican voters have heard it their entire lives about every Republican nominee. And as far as they're concerned, it's about time this kind of crap stopped working. And as long as there is a nominee who wants to fight back on all of it, wherever the Democrats take it, they are going to support him. And that is what is happening. We've got polling data out. Hillary up 11, Hillary up 12, Hillary up 4. Take a look. She's not at 50% in any of them. But it's going to jack the Real Clear Politics average up for her, which is going to be the big news tonight or tomorrow. Republican voters are used to being depressed and dispirited. Well, they're used to the Democrats and the media trying to make them feel that way, and they're fed up with it. Every 2 years, every 4 years, it doesn't matter. Whenever an effective it doesn't even have to be a candidate, any effective Republican anywhere, on television, on radio, it's the same stuff. The same way the Democrats use the same techniques to destroy anybody who is effective in opposing them. Republican voters see it. They're tired of it working. And so they're not going to let it work. Not this time. Because there's somebody who's not resigning because of it. He's fighting back. Every allegation, he throws it right back in their face. The experts say, he's got to stick to the issues. He's got to get back. He can't keep answering these charges. Every charge, it's just going to be distracting. It's going to take him off focus. And yet, he continues to hit back on every freaking charge, every allegation. He hits back, calls them a bunch of liars, tells everybody they're rigging the game. They're not used to this kind of pushback. They're used to being able to manipulate opposition candidates into doing what they tell them to do, like, you guys better support amnesty or you're never going to win the White House. Right. So the Republicans come out and support amnesty, and that's why none of them got the nomination in 2016, one of the many reasons. The Democrats come out and they say, you guys, if you ever want to win the White House again, like they care, you had better get right. On abortion, you'd better get right. On immigration, amnesty, you'd better get right. And the Republicans say, yeah, you're right. We are in danger of losing the Hispanics. So they do whatever the Democrats tell them to do, and they lose. And Republican voters are tired of seeing it. They're tired of supporting it. And given the first chance in a long time to not support it, they did. And that's Donald Trump. Here's the media's latest effort to poison the water, muddy the water, and keep us in the sewer and the gutter to which they have taken us. We have a montage of drive-bys and Democrats reacting to the horrible, the just untenable, the unacceptable allegation that the election is rigged by Donald Trump.
I read 65% of his followers already believe it is a rigged election. This is dangerous talk.
It's a destructive and dangerous thing to do, questioning important institutions, and it's very dangerous.
Is this wrong? It is dangerous rhetoric.
Trump is stirring up some really dangerous ideas in the electorate.
Some people would say that the rigged talk is dangerous.
Dangerous energy that is out there when people feel like the system is rigged.
It's very dangerous and irresponsible rhetoric.
Incredibly dangerous.
Dangerous to democracy.
Trump has been ramping up the rhetoric about how the election is rigged. How dangerous is this?
It's dangerous.
Feeling like this election is going to be rigged.
It's a dangerous strategy.
Isn't it amazing how every one of them has the same exact take? Well, how about the danger posed to the Constitution by the Democrat Party? How about the danger posed to the Constitution? They want to take Trump's comment that the election is rigged, and he's talking about the media being unfair. He's talking about 95% of the media being in the tank for the Democrats. He's talking about the powerful rigging things so that they don't lose their power. The powerful do this in every walk of life. He's treating this with the reality he thinks exists. They react in mock horror. Oh, my God, what's happening?